And maybe God did show me the red signs, but I was blind.
Hello, stranger. It's been a minute since we last kicked. And by the way, just got in town, and I won't let you in this club. It's all in the sky, ruin my vibe. Usually I don't do this often.
Hi, welcome back to my channel. If you don't know, I'm Laverian. Make sure you subscribe, turn on the post notifications bell, and like. But really, this video is about my abusive relationship. This is my testimony. God really urged me to share this video, and I was kind of delaying it when he had already told me to share it. So here I am sharing it after so long, because I was just like, no. And I know that the reason why he wanted me to do that is because he knows that there's somebody out there, women across the world actually, who are going through the same things that I went through now. I mean, last year in this present moment. So, but it started out, you know, good, like every relationship always does, right? And I didn't notice at first, but it was love bombing. It was definitely love bombing, because he would do everything for me. He always expressed how much he loved me, you know. He wanted to marry me, you know, as they say, I'm gonna put a baby in you type thing. All that. And I just thought it was love. And the first time literally was when we were riding in the car. Now we had already been, now let me back up. We had already been together for probably a year or so, and we ended up meeting. He moved me away from my family, which was already a red flag. I didn't even notice at the time because I was naive, I was young. I was literally 18, just graduated high school, and I just thought I was in love, you know. And he moved me away, and I was 6 hours away from my hometown, you know, basically isolated. But I didn't know at the time. I didn't know, but I was isolated. And we were good though. It just felt surreal. Like it was just like everything that I wanted. And then back to the first time was, we were riding a car and we got into like an argument, because no relationship is perfect, but as relationships, in relationships, you're supposed to be able to come together and communicate about it. But that did not happen. So we got into an altercation, whatever, but I wasn't hitting or anything like that. We were just talking, and then it got heated. And he literally hit me. And I was just like, is this really happening? Because I tried to get out of the car, and he didn't want me to get out of the car. He thought it was embarrassing. And I was just like, I just want to get away from you. Like, I'm 6 hours away from my family. Just let me get out of the car and get a fresh freaking breath of air. And he was just like, no, that's not happening. And if you don't know, in a relationship, they are controlling. They want you to be codependent on them, where you can't do anything. You can't drive, you can't do this. I mean, there's nothing that you can do. They are the lead. They do everything. I mean, but in a bad way, where you are literally, you can't grow, you can't evolve. But anyways, I just wanted a fresh breath of air, but he didn't want me to do that. And then he started to hit me. He did not hit me just one time, but he hit me multiple times in my face. And I was just like kind of struck and stuck. Like, did you just put your hands on me? Like, what? But I was crying though. I wasn't like just saying that. I was crying, like bawling my eyes out. And I was just like, really? I thought this guy loved me, was my thoughts. It was like, I thought he loved me. Why would he hit me if he loved me? And so this is also what they do. They literally make it seem like nothing happened, in the next moments of you know, it happening. They make it seem like, what are you talking about? I didn't even hit you that hard. I didn't even do nothing. It don't even hurt. Like, stop crying. You're just doing too much. I mean, but you hit me. You touched me. Like, what do you mean? You know? So that's what they do. They victimize, you know, make it like you're the person who's just crazy and you're tripping, you know, but you're really not. And so he basically made it seem like that, and he made it seem like he really didn't do anything, and kind of in the next moments act like we were all good. And I'm like, to myself, I'm like, how can I love you if you put your hands on me? It's kind of hard for me not to have no type of animosity towards you for doing that. You kind of messing up the love that I have for you, because now I feel a certain way, and when I look at you I feel disgusted because you raised your hand to me. But anyway, we still were together. I mean, and it got worse. It got worse. And I remember one of the next times where I was literally punched again in the face, but I got a bump on my face and I had to wear literally sunglasses. And I was just like, wow, I was crying because I didn't understand, like, why do you keep hitting me? And then it happened again. And I remember his mom being there, and she didn't do anything. He literally dragged me on the ground into the room, slammed the door, and started to choke me. And I was just like, oh my God, I can't breathe, like, help. But his mom didn't care. She, you know how it goes, their mom is always on their side, and they never really listen to you. Like, they just think that you're crazy and you're talking about their son or whatever, or daughter or whatever. It's like, no, they're not, you know, in denial too. But it happened, and I was still with him, and I did everything for him. You know, I thought that he would appreciate me more because I cooked for him. I did his clothes. I mean, I stayed home with the kids, watched the kids while he worked. You know, I took care of everything that a woman is supposed to do, and I held my portion of everything together. And it's just like, yeah, you were working and taking care of me, but at the same time, look what you were doing. Like, you were not making this a happy home. And I was literally trying my best to keep the peace, and it would always be just something, you know. And I was just like, I'm not happy. And I remember walking with my Bible and asking God to let me, like, get away. Please help me. And that was one of the moments that I reached out to God, and I was so tired. I was just like, I'm tired of being here. I literally, it was the most horrible relationship I think of my life, but I thought it was love. I would literally have to sit in my room and wait till he got off of work to go eat. I would have to wait to do everything, like, and if he took forever and he went to go do other stuff, I had to wait till he got home to do anything. And it was so horrible, and I started to lose weight. I just wasn't myself, but none of my family knew about it. I mean, I was 6 hours away. I didn't want to tell them. That's another thing. Like, and a lot of families need to stop judging, you know, because you never know. Just be there and love them, and don't make it seem like it's something that they're making up, because it's real. It's really real. I don't think somebody would just lie about what's going on with them. They're telling the truth, you know. But I remember another time where we got into an argument, and then I ended up leaving. I walked to Walmart, it was, and I was sitting there. It was midnight. I was sitting there with my daughter, and I was just sitting there all night. And I thought that he would come find me, and he never even came. He never came. And I ended up going back, and literally seeing him sleep and not caring that I walked in. And I just was so tired and drained that I literally just got in the bed and went to sleep. I was just like, I can't I don't have the energy in me. I want to get some rest. I just want to go to sleep. I just can't. And then it happened again. Like it was so bad that we were fighting all the time. That's how bad. And then it's like you become that way too, because they're always coming at you and you're like, I gotta defend myself, when that's not even your nature, you know. And I left again, and I was sitting outside of a restaurant. I remember it was not too far from the house, but it was a good minute. And I was sitting there all night, and I thought he would come look for me again, you know. And as females, we're naive to men, and we think that they care, and they don't. They don't, especially a narcissistic, abusive, toxic man who's self-centered and thinks everything that he does is okay, and he doesn't see the faults, like, and it's not accountable. He does not love you. It's not real. In your mind, he literally manipulated me, demeaned me, degraded me, and made me feel horrible all the time. I remember just crying in the corner lots of time, going in the closet and just crying because I was so sad. And I thank God that God blessed me with my children, because they were always there to comfort me every time, and it made me want to keep going, made me want to be better, you know, made me want to look to be happier for them, you know. And God literally gave me them for that reason, like, it's just to be my comfort. And I didn't even that's why I'm so grateful that he gave them to me, you know. Even though they were out of wedlock, still he graced me with them, and he graced me the strength to be able to deal with them, and the strength to be able to deal with an abusive relationship while having children, while they're watching, you know, that stuff happening. That is very traumatic on a child, you know. And my oldest was there through everything, and she's better now, but because I'm out of it. But it was just like a lot of trauma, and you don't want to put your kids through that. You don't want to let them see you go through that, because then they're going to look to you and think, you know what, my mom went through that. You know, it kind of sets a standard, and you don't want your standard to be that it's okay to be with a man that does you like that. Because God says that you deserve better. You are worth more. You are not what he's saying, what the devil is telling you and lying to you about. You are not that. You are so much more. You are great. You are beautiful inside and out. And even if they don't see it, God sees it, and you need to believe it, because you were created wonderfully and fearfully made, and nobody can take that away from you. No one. And whatever you went through, it makes you stronger. It makes you stronger. And so I thank my ex for all the stuff that he put me through, because if he didn't, I would not be where I am today, in wisdom and knowledge and peace and just growth and evolving. I wouldn't be here. So I thank him for that. And I'm not mad at him. I hurt people. So there's something that was there, you know. Hurt people. And I know that God only did that so that he can birth something new out of me, and I can learn my lessons and know things that I didn't know before. And so I thank God as well. But to the woman who is in it now, I want to tell you that it's not real. It's not real. It may seem like it's real, but it's not, because he only loves you when it's good for him. He only shows you emotion and feeling when it's good for him. You should not have to teach someone how to love you, how to respect you, how to treat you as a woman, because you are a queen. Always. You've always been a queen. So don't let anyone else tell you that you're not. And don't let any man make you feel less than what you really are. Because you are worth it, and so much more. And that is the objective of the devil, because the devil sends these people in our lives basically to try to break us and And it's crazy because God shows us that the devil can't even be God, that the devil is literally being used by God himself to build us up. And it's just, God is good. He's good. He's so good. He's so good. But God just made me remember the time when I actually was fed up. And it was the last time. It was the last time before ever seeing him again. And I remember him using me the night before we split. And I asked God, I said, God, if this man is for me, please tell me that he's for me. Show me if I'm supposed to be with him. Reveal to me. And that morning, God showed up and showed out. And the night before, now let me rewind. We were together and he cheated on me once. And then we got back together. I broke up with him. We got back together, and that's the thing. We go back. We go back. When we think that they've changed, they make it seem so good. But let me tell you, it's someone out there better. What did I say? It's plenty fish in the sea. It's so many men that are great men that will not put a finger on you. Will treat you and cherish you and appreciate you. Will treat you like you deserve to be treated. But we broke up, and then I got back with him, and then we were together again for a while, and it was good, and it started to happen again. And it got to a point where I was clapping back. I remember being so angry in this relationship all the time. We were always fighting. I was screaming at the top of my lungs, like, leave me alone, get away from me, and he would cover my mouth. And I remember him pushing me down while I was pregnant, and my baby didn't move. And I was so scared for like a day, and then she finally moved. I was like, wow, this man literally almost could have killed our child. That's how dangerous it was. And that's another reason too, you can be killed. There are people out here who were in a toxic relationship, and they were killed because of that man. And you don't want your children to have to miss out on you based off of a man that never even cared about you. They're their father, and the crazy thing is, we want them to be a part of their lives, but you shouldn't have to deal with him being that way and in front of your children. So I want to just go back again to the night that it was the last night, and he used me. And he used me, and we were together, and I thought, I don't know. And it was like, how can you be so cold-hearted? Like, I just didn't know how he could be so cold-hearted and still do that, And I cried. I cried the night before because I had already told him, I don't want to be with you. I'm tired of being with you. I don't want to be with you, And I just felt like nothing. And I remember starting to see a side of him way before that night where I looked into his eyes, and it just didn't seem like him. I was like, oh my God, you're scaring me. Like, you're not the guy that I met. You're different. This is not you. Like, who are you? I got scared. I was literally laying in bed with him, scared every night, like losing sleep because I was scared. And I remember always telling him, like, oh my God, you look like the devil. Like, I would always say that because I would look in his eyes, and it looked this so cold and so dark. And I was just like, who am I with? And that's why I just didn't want to be with him anymore. I was just like, oh, I'm over it. No. And I told him, I was like, I don't want to be with you anymore. I don't. And I would literally always tell him that from that point on. And he knew I didn't want to be with him. And another part of it is that don't let the enemy get in your mind either, because the enemy is a trickster. He comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And he will break anything if he can. He will break you down to pieces using his child. Because, you know, the devil has a kingdom too. The devil has an army. He was kicked out with an army of other angels that are now with him. And he will use them to break you down. And don't let him win. Don't let him win. But I figured out that night that he, you know, that morning, I mean, that he was a cheater again. Because literally, I got a text from one of my freaking family, right? And she's like, oh, he sent me a heart. I'm like, what? Why would he randomly send you a heart if he don't even know you like that? It doesn't make sense. And I remembered that we had this thing, like a party where she was invited and another few other people. And, you know, and that time I wasn't saved. I wasn't, you know, doing the right things. I was actually smoking all the time, popping pills, drinking, you know, doing all the things that God didn't approve of. And I did not. I was raised with God and I was not listening at all. I was blind. But at that time, we had this thing and she was there and I probably did get drunk. I don't know. I don't remember. That's the thing. And supposedly something happened where, I don't know, they linked up and it happened. I don't know, but I don't really care either. I don't want closure. I don't care. I just know my part. I forgive him. And it is what it is. God let it happen for a reason. It is what it is. And that just showed me the true colors of and the nature of who they were, you know. But I said, why would he randomly text you a heart if he don't really even know you? And she's like, well, I don't know. And I'm just like, I'm done. I literally hung up the phone and blocked her. And I poured water on him and woke him up. And I was like, you are so disgusting. And I just kept telling him that. And I literally told him to get out. I screamed to the top of my lungs until, like, I don't know, I was going to scream until somebody came. I don't care who, the cops, whoever. But I told him to get out. That morning, I cried. I cried. And I was like, I wasn't thinking. I thought I made a dumb decision because I was just like, my children, what am I going to do? Like, my kids are not going to be able to see their dad. And, you know, I was out of there. It was crazy. I was with him for 6 years. Like, how can it be this big change? And I knew that God was doing something in my life. I just knew it was him because that night I prayed to him and I asked him to change and remove, you know, him if he wasn't for me. And literally that morning he was gone. And it was just like surreal. And I started to go, and then that's when God really showed up in my life. He really showed up when he left. God started to make himself clear to me. I started to figure out things. I started to pray. It was so crazy. But then the devil jumped in too. So he started to deceive me. And it went from me literally, you know what, I'm gonna share my next video about this. My next video is gonna be my part 2 to the other half of my testimony. But I want to say to the woman right now listening to this that you are worth more. I don't know how many times I say that, but you're worth more. You're valuable. You are a prize. You have gifts that you don't even know you have, that you can use, that God is waiting for you to use for the kingdom of God. You're talented, and God wants to use that so he can exalt you and give glory to him with your gifts. You are useful and you are wanted. But the signs that go with this is, first off, love bombing, red flag. Second off, victimizing themselves, red flag. Third, when you try to leave, they try to do harm themselves, red flag. 4, isolation, red flag. 5, degrading, manipulative, liars, always being gone, trying to make you stay home all the time, trying to make you codependent, controlling, all red flags. But be aware so that you do not fall victim to the enemy's deceptions. So I really want to thank you guys for listening to my story of my abusive relationship. It gets deeper. I'm gonna do a part 2, and God bless you, and you are stronger than what you think. God is your provider. Let him guide you and lead you, and he will make a way out of no way. God bless you. Make sure you like and subscribe. Much love.